What's good, everyone? Welcome back to the Twisted Barbell channel. I'm Marcus, and today I'm going to review the Pioneer knee sleeves. Now, you may see a couple of other knee sleeves here, and it's not exactly a comparison, but I like to give a frame of reference because inevitably, when I offer my advice and opinion on a certain product, the question is always, well, how do they compare to X, Y, and Z? So here I have X, Y, and Z essentially, and this is what I'm going to run down today. So when you're offering a frame of reference, you want to compare apples to apples, and that's what I think I have here with the basic cone knee sleeve at 7mm thickness for all of them and roughly the same length. Now I'm going to show you a few differences. I'm definitely going to talk about why this is in a class of its own, but if you've watched the channel for any period of time, you'll know that I reviewed these in the past, and these two are very, very similar. This is, again, in a different ballpark altogether. Now these are very good. I've had no problems with these. I think I purchased these a little bit too large in the past in an XL, and when I subsequently purchased the SB knee sleeves, I went down a size to a basic large. And the reason is because these never really supported me as well as I thought they could. Sizing is important, and that is also a factor when considering the Pioneer knee sleeves. I'm going to put them all close together so you can see the length as they sit on this utility bench. You can see that the A7 is slightly longer than the SBD, but again, this is an extra large, this is a large. This Pioneer knee sleeve happens to be a triple XL. Now you might ask, if you already have two adequate knee sleeves that support you well, why purchase a third? And that's because this is, in fact, in a different class of its own, even though the stats would indicate otherwise. This is a far more dense and rigid foam than these two. And I'm going to demonstrate with weights. You might have seen pictures of this on the internet already, whether on Instagram or somewhere else. And I'm going to start with a 10-pound weight. And you can see the Stoic can't even hold that up. Let's try the SBDs. Also, let's go with the Pioneer. And that's the difference. Far more dense, far more rigid foam that's going to support your knee when you're squatting. And it makes a huge, huge difference. Now with those two sleeves out of the way, let's talk about the Pioneer knee sleeve. And I'll start with price. Right now, this is probably the least expensive knee sleeve on the market. You might find the Stoics for roughly the same price. I originally paid about $75 for those Stoics through Amazon. SBDs, you get them through SBD directly, but those are roughly $95 these days, and that is for the original knee sleeve. They do offer a new, thicker, denser foam similar to the Pioneer that goes up to, I think, $120. At $75, this is a remarkable steal in my opinion. As you saw, they can support 10 pounds. If I put more weight on there, they'd probably support that as well. These are super rigid, and when you first put them on, it's going to astound you at exactly how rigid they are. First time trying to Pioneer knee sleeves. Ooh. It's literally going to change your gait. You're not going to be able to bend your knees like you used to. In fact, you're going to feel like you've had wraps wrapped around your knees. If you've seen some images of people walking up to a monolith to get under a really heavy squat, they have this kind of penguin waddle as they approach the monolith, and that is exactly how you kind of feel when you put these on for the first time. They may break in slightly, but I really doubt it because this is a neoprene type foam, and these are very, very rigid. Sliding these on are very, very difficult to begin with. Brandon has demonstrated how to do that on a video or two of his, and as you can see here, I typically keep mine wrapped just like this because it's easier to install when you have it folded down this way. They're so dense and stiff that even folding them is problematic. And I'll try to demonstrate here because once you get it in a certain point, they want to flip out and unfold themselves. That's due to thickness. Now, these are keeping this shape, so that was actually a little easier than I was expecting. But then folding down the top might be a little different because, again, the rigidity is fighting you the entire time. So if you're one that's going to use these somewhat frequently, I recommend leaving them like that as you roll them down off your leg and just keep them this way. I'm adding this extra clip just to demonstrate getting these on. They can be difficult, but using this technique, as Brandon has demonstrated in the past, makes it a lot easier. Now remember, the size tag is on the front of the knee sleeve, so you want that on. The bottom is rolled up about 1 inch, and then the top is rolled down over that. So you're grabbing them from the bottom, and you have both the bottom fold and the top edge together. Take off the slipper, drop that. That's it. my SBD sleeves are tougher to get on because they're not as rigid as these. I think the rigidity certainly helps with getting these on. Taking them off, same thing. Roll the bottom edge up about an inch. Roll the top down. And it helps that they're on your leg because I said before, folding the material is really a fight because of the density of that foam. But once you have them on your leg, you have something to hold the opposite side as you're folding. Now get your thumb in there. Takes a couple of tries. Off they go. I did break out my digital food scale so I could weigh them, and I'm going to show some B-roll of the different weights of the different knee sleeves that I have here for you today. 3 different weights, drastically different, and these Pioneer knee sleeves are over twice the heaviest knee sleeve down on the floor, which is the Stoic. In fact, these knee sleeves weigh more than both of those 2 knee sleeves combined. Now, as I said, these are triple XL, and I did that based on Pioneer's recommendation to use my calf size instead of the knee size. And that is because the foam is so dense and rigid that if you go by your knee size, you're going to have a tough time getting these over your calf, and it's going to be a moot point. So although I thought triple XL was kind of ridiculous, this actually works really well for me. Now, after putting them on the first time, I was really surprised at, again, how stiff they were. But in use, in the hole, down on the squat, these things are phenomenal. It is probably like having knee wraps. I never had my knee wrap before, but the rebound in the bottom of the hole on the squat is just spectacular. You're going to feel like you can squat anything. And I know that's a lofty claim to make, but ask anyone who has these. The stiffness and rigidity is just incredible. The support they provide around your knee, phenomenal. And actually, if you go by my last competition back in early November, I had knee pain going into that competition. Knee pain that popped up out of the blue the week prior, which was like the deload week for me after a very tough peak week. And these helped me actually hit a PR on the platform despite having knee pain. That's how great these are. That's a testament to these. Obviously, strength is involved, but to be able to hit a PR on the platform with knee pain is saying quite a lot, to be honest. Getting back to the sizing, these are so rigid that they do cause a bit of pain in the back of the knee. So sizing is immensely important. You probably see some individuals, and I'll talk about my man Carter. He actually showed some pictures on Instagram where the back of his knees were bleeding, and it looked pretty severe. Although I had quite a bit of irritation behind both of my knees and an abrasion that didn't quite bleed, but it did scab over after a couple days, it wasn't as drastic as his situation. So I do think that it is important to get the proper size for you to avoid that kind of thing. Now, despite proper sizing, as I just said in my case, you are going to experience some discomfort because these are more rigid than anything you've probably felt in the past. Because of that rigidity, when you do get down in the squat, you have this rigid material that folds in and creases behind your knee crease. And there's nowhere for that to go. It is so thick and rigid that it basically starts to abrade the back of your knee. But if you get the right sizing, you can minimize that to a degree. The other thing I've done that has helped in avoiding severe pain or making those abrasions worse, having them on and getting through some warm-up sets, rolling them up, rolling this down, and then sliding them down my knee about an inch and then unfolding them and leaving them there. Doing that allows that crease to actually hit you in a slightly different location on the back of your knee, either an inch higher or an inch lower. And yes, it may still irritate, but it's not going to keep abrading and abrading at the same exact spot on your knee. So if you've experienced some discomfort with these, I recommend giving that a try. It's helped me immensely. Now let's talk about construction. These are really durable. In a lot of ways, they mimic both of the other knee sleeves. Now on the back here, they have this nice fabric tape that's stitched in a very intricate pattern. And this is a little bit more heavy duty than what I see on the Stoics, and very similar to what SBD does, although SBD has that spiral pattern that wraps around the sleeve. This is straight up and down the back like the Stoics. That is still done in a quality way. You have a diagonal stitch pattern on the top and the bottom, and then you have a sizing label at the top. The main concern for me is getting the support I need, and these are far and away the absolute best knee sleeves I've ever had. Now, because of the discomfort that I get, I only use these roughly once a week on my heavy squat days, and I'm squatting 2 or 3 times a week. When I don't have heavy squat days, I'm going back to the Stoics rather than the SPDs, only because those are much easier to put on. Now, some other individuals I know and follow on Instagram, along with Carter, is Hook Grip Mark, and he's been astounded at how well these have improved his squat game. I'm telling you, this is no joke. The rebound, the confidence, the support that you're going to get out of this sleeve is fantastic. And at the price of $75, you really can't beat it. I highly recommend. They are phenomenal. Don't take my word for it. Watch other videos out there. I'm sure they're going to say the same thing. Yes, they'll talk about some discomfort probably, but you're only going to use them for squat sessions. Most of us take these off after we're done with our squats, and you can adjust them up or down a little bit until you get used to it. Definitely a great knee sleeve and a bargain by an American company. Sure, not made in America, but offered by an American company. And if you have a Pioneer belt, you know the quality that they put out. These meet the same high standard of all the other Pioneer products. I think these are going to last a long time. I think these are going to help your squat game, and you're not going to bust the bank to do that. That's pretty much all I have about this. If you have any questions and I failed to answer any of them in advance or give you information that you were looking for, please drop the question in the comment section below and I'll be happy to answer that. Again, as always, I appreciate your support in watching this video, and I'll catch you on the next one.